So this chapter of Gachiakuta has got to have been one of my favorites in the absolute longest of times. The amount of lore that Mimo actually drops for us is just insane to me, because this has so many ramifications when it comes to not just the world of the ground, but also the world of the sphere, with those small little glimpses of flashback we saw of how trash fluttered through the ground and how there were definitely political debates and huge pieces of conflict back in human history that led to the world being as it is now. We do not know what time period it is. We don't know if it's in the future, way after our own time era of this current real world, and this is just what has happened after we polluted the ground and did the absolute worst possible things imaginable, whether it be nuclear war, and anima is just nuclear energy and pollution that has slowly festered on the people that are on the ground. Because something that I think was genuinely very interesting to me is the reveal that people from the sphere most likely do not have ways to become givers. I don't want to say absolutely 110% they can't become givers, because there may be elder beings or people that have been around since the times that Mimo kind of mentions here that are still intact with that ancient ruler energy. He does point out the fact that RUDO'S gloves completely did not awaken, and RUDO did not gain the ability to use anima until he came down to the ground and began contact with that kind of pollution, that, as Mimo calls it, the ancient ruler's energy that everyone down on the ground has been just ripened by. Obviously, still not everyone on the ground is able to give birth to giver powers. You still have to have very strong thoughts, as Mimo calls it. You have to have very strong sense of will and who you are, and also an attachment to a single instrument. Part of what Mimo, his entire goal here, is also shed light on, because Mimo mentioned the word ruler, the word that he has been using over and over and over again throughout this entire arc when he was announced and introduced as the villain. We now have the context that he is calling it ancient ruler, but in reality, the word that he is referring to is God. When Mimo says that he is doing everything he wants to become a ruler, we had all assumed it meant a dictator, someone that was in control of an entire territory, that had a kingdom of people that were all able to be used by him and be controlled. But that is the absolute furthest thing from the case that Mimo has been after. This form that he is in was always the thing that he was chasing. While he didn't always have the idea to turn himself into this being, he instead wanted to use all of the people and conjoin them together, create this god, and then have his microphone be able to control the god for him. Because as he says, he wants to prove to the ignorant humans of the ground that there is such a thing as a god, that they have been having this veil laid over them, and they have had this word stripped from all of their knowledge, from all of their information, and it is just a completely non-existent word to the people of the ground. This is also confirmed in the chapter. Something that is to note that Mimo is also able to confirm for himself here is when using the word God, while people like even Gachiakuta, someone that is old and has lived for many years, and also Rio don't understand that word and have never heard that word before. So it's not even something that you can say Rio is young, right? She just hasn't heard that word because it's been wiped out. Even someone like Gachiakuta isn't aware of the word God. Mimo says he devoted so much time and energy and so much effort into uncovering this word. There were blanks filled in on all of the pages that he researched in regards to the quote-unquote ancient rulers, and he screams into RUDO and says, who removed the existence of gods from our lore? Who took this word, this knowledge away from us? Because RUDO knows exactly what Mimo is talking about. He, at the very least, remembers being taught about religion, about God from Regto on the sphere. So RUDO says a human can't become God. That's completely dumb. There's no way to do that. And again, as the rest of the ground people have absolutely no idea what Mimo and RUDO are even conversing about here. It's a huge revelation that anima, this energy source, this thing that is, as Mimo says, able to give mass to scissors, able to conjure actual supernatural powers, give Mimo the ability to control other people, and as far as we know, give birth to the Watchman series in and of itself. And the worst part about all of this is that now that Mimo is just some absolute monster, he can only chase this innate desire, and that's the only thing that he sees forward. Losing his composure and screaming at Rudo, someone that obviously would have no idea who would have erased the existence of gods. I mean, if anybody was going to be able to give him that information, Mimo should be searching for the information broker, if anything, because he seems to be able to have connections and ties to all the way back when these gods may have even still existed, or before all of this stuff may have even been wiped away from everyone's knowledge. Now I think we do see the ramifications of what happens to someone that achieves this level of monstrosity, this entity that Mimo has become. Countess does seem to believe that this is also the case, that maybe becoming a god has affected his mind. Rudo seems to believe that Mimo has yet to become a god, so this means that he is just crazy and lunatic out himself, and this is just him losing his composure on his own. It has nothing to do with his transformation. So while we don't exactly know what is the case, I do think it's very interesting to note that Mimo does break his own vital instrument here in this moment. Mimo does this almost as an outright rejection of his humanity. He has done everything he possibly could to reach this status and achieve godhood, but now he has traced every lead, uncovered every stone, and the only person that has a tie left to the sphere, that has a tie and understanding of what he's even talking about, can't give him the information that he needs. So as Rudo even mentions, like, Mimo wants so much to be a god, but he cannot remove that humanity from him. He is still just a human being. He cannot be a god when he is still a human. He can become this demi half version of whatever he is, but that outright angers him and sends him in a frenzy. And with now 2 broken arms, and we see Amo also watching from the sidelines, having yet to announce herself, absolutely no way to stop Mimo as he is now, and Rudo refusing to give up. The only way to progress this fight any further is for him to fuse his Watchman powers with Countess's Watchman powers, just as Mimo did, in order to become a similar ancient ruler, godlike being to defeat Mimo, because that is the only thing that will be able to actually harm him on a critical level. And something tells me that if this does become the case and Rudo does actually transform, not only will he be way more powerful than Mimo, we know Rudo is cursed as we think he is. This could end up going much worse and create a being that is much more dangerous and violent and evil than Mimo ever could have hoped to be. With this new lore and this new reveal that Mimo has given us, I also have to ask multiple questions, like, if ground people are only able to become givers, how did people like Tamsi become a giver, or whoever Tamsi's assistant is? How did people like Regto get a hand on the Watchmen series? And not just one Watchmen series, but supposedly 2 Watchmen series, if we are to assume that the book that Regto was carrying around is the same book that Tamsi was using to actually reverse engineer Amo's memories. I also think it could go the way of, you know, like I said, there are elder classes in the sphere that are still familiar with the whole giver energy and still have connection to these ancient rulers. We don't know yet. We are still in the dark completely. One thing is for sure is Mimo has cracked the case open to so many different possibilities that I cannot begin to wait and see where this arc even goes from here, let alone how this ends. If Rudo becomes the same thing as Mimo, can he return to the way he was before? Is that even possible? Will they let him do this? Is someone else gonna step in and help? Where are we gonna go from here, guys? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, because if I go on any longer, then I will just yap nonsense and speculation all day. I mean, if you guys are interested in that, let me know. I won't be scared to make these longer. But yeah, guys, this was a big chapter and a very great thing to see after a 2-week break, and I'm ready to get back into this fucking crazy Mimo arc. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.